welcome back to another video. So today's video is going to be about fibromyalgia and temperature sensitivity and how temperature changes and things affect us as fibromyalgia people, patients, sufferers. Everybody knows that weather changes can be really awful for people with fibro. A lot of us know that we can expect a flare-up or just a worsening of our symptoms during times when the weather is changing, and it's not just a change in temperature, it's also a change in atmospheric pressure. So just when the seasons are changing, basically. In terms of how the temperature itself can affect us, there's a bit of a wide range of things that people experience. Maybe it feels like you're burning up when you're exposed to the heat and you will never be able to cool down. Maybe the cold chills you to the bone and you feel like you can never warm up. Maybe you are cold all the time. Or maybe you are hot all the time. Maybe you go back between being cold and hot, even if you are out of sync with the actual temperature of the world. Most people find that there is one temperature that suits them better than the other, so you'd rather be, maybe you do better in the heat and maybe you do better in the cold. But there are a few of us who are lucky enough to experience pretty much all of these. So when we are hot, we feel like we are just burning up and we're never going to be able to cool down. When we are cold, we feel like we're never going to warm up again. We go back between the two, you name it, we're going to experience it. It just seems like our bodies are unable to adapt to temperature changes in the way that healthy people do. Experiencing these, any of them or all of them, whatever, means that you are experiencing a symptom of fibromyalgia called temperature sensitivity. They don't know exactly what causes this symptom yet, but there's a lot of interesting research being done, and there's a few studies that point us in a direction that is, I think, interesting and probably true. I always say this, but I never actually leave it into the video, but my hamster's cage is right next to me, and she always comes out when I'm filming videos, always. Anyway, much of the research that's being done points towards abnormalities in the autonomic nervous system, which deals with homeostasis, which is the body's ability to keep temperatures and other factors within normal ranges. The autonomic nervous system also deals with our body's reactions to different situations. Basically, the autonomic nervous system deals with the regulation of involuntary body functions, which ranges from blood pressure, digestion, body temperature, our flight or fight reaction, and a lot of other things like our bodily fluids, etc., etc., etc. So this means that researchers are now able to look deeper into this system to figure out exactly what is going on, and they're finding really interesting things. So some research shows that fibromyalgia patients show abnormal body temperature, an inability to adapt to changes in temperature, and a lower pain threshold to both heat and cold stimuli. This means that it takes less extreme temperature to make us feel pain or discomfort from the temperatures. The most interesting study actually suggests a reason for our temperature sensitivity, and it is based on a series of discoveries. The first step involved people who may actually be the opposite of fibromyalgia patients, and they are the people who don't feel pain at all. It is a rare condition that some people are born with where they don't feel any pain. So doctors observed that these people who don't feel any pain can feel temperature, which was confusing because why would the same nerves that could feel one type of stimuli, which is temperature, not feel another, which is pain? And that question actually led to a discovery, which is that they are not the same nerves. So the nerves that feel temperature are not the same ones that feel pain. We have an entirely separate system of nerves that senses temperature. These nerves are on our blood vessels, and scientists used to think that these nerves dealt only with blood flow. So it turns out that these special nerves don't just adjust our blood flow, they actually also detect temperature. So these nerves then became a logical target for fibromyalgia research, since we're known to have both blood flow abnormalities and temperature sensitivity. And sure enough, researchers found that fibromyalgia participants in the study had extra temperature sensing nerves along special skin blood vessels called AV stunts. And these little special vessels are in our hands, in our feet, and on our face. Basically, their job is to increase blood flow into your extremities when you are cold so that your fingers and your feet and your face don't freeze. This is the first study looking at how this system is involved in our illness. Obviously, we can't say for sure that it's accurate, but it does set an interesting path and direction for more research to be done. It does seem to be an explanation that makes a lot of sense. Now, speaking of the impact of the heat specifically, there are a few things that happen to us. Firstly, some of us don't regulate sweat as well as healthy people do. This means that our bodies have a hard time cooling down. And interestingly, this actually supports the research that I've just talked about, because the autonomic nervous system does regulate our sweat and our bodily fluids. And the fact that we have a hard time regulating sweat also explains why we are more prone to having fevers, heat rashes, or heat stroke. Another thing that contributes to the struggle with the heat, that we become very easily dehydrated, which would also explain why we get so many headaches and why our fatigue gets so much worse in the heat. The last thing that I want to mention about the heat is that it also makes it hard to sleep, and we all know that not sleeping well really aggravates our symptoms, so that might be why some people in the heat feel like their symptoms get aggravated. Other things that may contribute to our temperature sensitivity are hormonal imbalances and certain medications, especially in women. We're so lucky. Another theory is that our thyroid gland is the one to blame because it's supposed to help control body temperature. Many fibromyalgia patients actually suffer with hypothyroidism, so that does explain that. I don't feel like this is the reason why we have temperature sensitivity, because a lot of people also don't have hypothyroidism and we still have heat sensitivity, so I don't think that explains it. Maybe it does make it worse for people with problems with their thyroid, but maybe not everybody. It was suggested that if you don't have problems with your thyroid, then maybe a lower blood volume or poor circulation could be the culprit, which does in fact take us back to that first study I mentioned where our autonomic nervous system isn't working, because it does also regulate our blood pressure, blood flow. So I feel like most of the evidence that we do have points to support this study that has been done. Although this research is really good for us, it's good that people are looking into it, and it's good that they're finding things that are interesting and that are motivating them to do more research and to find out more things. It doesn't actually mean that there is any way to deal with it yet. Also, we can't really control the weather, so we're always going to have to cope with the symptom, kind of. But I do have some suggestions for things to do to deal with it, I guess. Here are some things that may help. If you're always hopping between temperatures, if you go from feeling really hot to really cold really quickly, wearing a lot of layers is probably going to be helpful to you, because you can adjust yourself to how you're feeling, and you can take off layers and put them back on as you feel is necessary. Always staying hydrated, and I know I talk about this all the time, but always staying hydrated, especially in the summer. In the winter, having lots of hot drinks, especially hot tea. Personally, I like tea. I don't like drinking coffee. I like coffee, but I can't drink coffee because it makes me, Anyway, but drinking a lot of tea not only helps you with the hydration, but it also keeps you warm. It warms your hands, it makes you feel warmer inside, so it's a nice way to deal with the cold. Also, when it's cold, making sure that you are wearing enough clothes, or like maybe a little bit more than you need to, especially in your extremities. So gloves, really warm socks, and really good shoes, and hats and things on your head to keep you from getting cold. In the summer, keeping your house really cool by closing the shutters and the windows, so you're not letting the hot air in. And in the winter, opening the windows, maybe not actually opening the windows, but opening the shutters to let the sunshine in and let it warm your house. Another thing is considering the investment of an AC unit if you don't have one already, or if you don't have heating and things. I feel like AC is like a way to do both things, and you just have to invest in that one thing. But obviously it depends on where you live and what you feel is necessary, but I find that having AC is a lifesaver for me. Another thing that I read about is employing relaxation techniques to help you with the cold. In a study, they found that when people with fibromyalgia did relaxation techniques, they didn't suffer as much from the cold. The reason behind this, in my opinion, is probably because when you are cold, all of your muscles tense up, and that makes it more painful, and that's why we're in pain in the cold. So if you manage to relax your body and to relax your muscles, they will relax, and then it will release a little bit of the pain and you won't be in as much pain. The last thing that I want to suggest, and that seems pretty obvious to me, I think, is keeping up with your regular treatment. Doing your regular exercise and doing your regular, diet, and doing all of the regular things that help you feel better and the things that make you feel balanced. Keeping up with that will help you decrease the symptoms of the temperature sensitivity. Yeah, so that's everything for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really like doing more informational videos. I like researching about it and stuff, so please do let me know in the comments if there's any topic that you want me to discuss and to research for you. I'll be happy to do it. I do have a few more ideas that will be coming in the future, but I would love to know what you want to see, so let me know. And consider subscribing to my channel because it would mean so much to me and it would make me really happy. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!